Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. We are watching this area down across the western, southwestern Gulf of Mexico. We have been talking about this for about a week now. And it first started out where there was nothing out here. We said it's area low pressure be forming across the Gulf of Mexico, and it'd be eventually working its way towards Mexico. And that overall message really hasn't changed. Now, yesterday, hurricane reconnaissance plane flew down to this system. This at that point was classified as Invest 91. And they want to get an idea what's going on with this system. Well, what they found was it did have winds of 40 miles an hour, but there's a couple of things you need to get a tropical system. You need those 40-mile-an-hour winds, or at least at that point. But you also need a well-defined closed circulation with this system. And what this system lacks is that well-defined center of circulation with convection around the center of the storm. As you look at the true color satellite loop, you're just seeing just kind of a big, huge mess right now. You do see that spin in there, so we have that area low pressure. We just don't have the storm surrounding that center of circulation. You can really see that when you look at the enhanced satellite imagery, because here's the center. Notice where the convection is. We've got some over towards Cuba. We've got some further to the south. We've got some to the north. But where you're really not seeing it is near the center of this storm. So that's what we really have to wait for, is to see more of this convection starting to get closer to the center. And then when it surrounds that center of circulation, it starts to create that core of the storm. That is what will allow this system to get better organized, for one, but also to strengthen. As long as it is very disorganized like this, it's going to have a very hard time increasing in intensity. If you're over in Mexico, over in the Texas, you're saying, hey, that's good with me. We don't want to see any more intensification with this system. Regardless of whether this develops or not, really about the big message with this is just going to be a lot of rain heading towards the coast of Mexico and into Texas. So right now has those winds of 40 miles an hour. It's currently drifting to the north at about 7 miles an hour. But those steering currents are going to turn this system more towards that westerly direction. So we do have the tropical storm warnings out for portions of the coastline of Mexico all the way up into Texas. It is expected to slowly gain more of those tropical characteristics where we're seeing that core of the storm with the convection around it. That's why you do see the icon on there as a tropical storm, but still we're talking about 40, 45, 50-mile-an-hour winds. So this is not a big wind event. Certainly there's some strong winds. It is going to be a rain event as it works its way on shore. So as you look at the different computer models, typically what are we talking about? When we have these ill-defined systems, you're usually seeing the models all over the place. Well, for this point in this storm, you're actually seeing pretty good agreement among the models. And that's simply because the steering currents in the atmosphere, they're pretty strong. That's why all the models are in pretty good agreement on exactly where this will go. What is not in agreement is how much is this system going to develop over the next several days, just simply because you have this area low pressure, but you just don't have a lot of that convection right near the center of the storm. But we still have that lighter wind shear down in this area, so there's still that potential. That combined with warm water temperatures, that we will see more development with that system. Now, another area that we've been watching is off to our east. That is right there. You can see it in the water vapor imagery, but notice what stands between us and that system. That is just kind of an area that we're watching out there. This here, this is all dry air. That is what's going to be working its way over us for the next several days. That's why we're actually seeing our rain chances going down. And so kind of a dry period here. So we've got that 10 to 20% chance of some additional development with this, because simply just because there's such limited moisture with this area. It'll continue to work its way on that general path towards the coastline. Big question is, does it develop? How much moisture does this have? I can tell you the models, they're really not all that excited about this area. Now, as we go through the next couple of days, watch these different areas, because we've got that potential tropical cyclone number 1 working its way towards the coastline, likely to become Tropical Storm Alberto. You also see this other area out here, Models just not all that bullish on this system. We'll continue to watch it as we go through the next couple of days. But then you look down across the Bay of Campeche again, and models are indicating just as that first system works its way into Mexico, we could yet see another area starting to develop as we head into the weekend and the first part of next week, right down in this same area. So we've got to kind of watch down across the southwestern Gulf of Mexico for not one, but two systems as we go through this week and into next week. First one working its way into Mexico, and then that second one could be forming right on its heels down in that same area. So we'll keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.